Good morning friends, I am Aishwarya Sharma welcoming you all at Unacademy GATE CE. I am one of your civil engineering mentor and I am going to take RCC or you can say DOCS in this session. RCC means Reinforced Concrete Cement or Design of Concrete Structure. Friend, before starting, I want to tell you exactly what is Unacademy GATE CE and some of the relevant information about this. Friend, Unacademy GATE CE is the complete solution to your all civil engineering problems, including your GATE, ESC, PSU, State JE, AE and other state AE JE examinations. Friends, although we have the word GATE in our channel, but still we are going to tackle each and everything in this channel. Clear? Now friends, just see, we are working as a team here. We are working as a team and we are a team of 8 to 10 members which all are expertise in their respective field. So soon you are going to meet all of them, and I hope some of them have been seen to Abhishek sir, who have been taught in morning session 7 to 9, and this is current slot to RCC which is 9 to 10:30. Okay, let me write here the session and schedule. Okay, देखते हैं. So friends, here I have written the entire schedule for the month of May. It is May month schedule. Morning slot 7 to 10:30, which will be covering SOM and RCC. SOM by Abhishek sir and RCC by me. And evening slot 6 to 9, which will be covering environmental engineering and surveying. Environmental will be taken by Saurabh sir and surveying by Nitesh sir. And friends, this morning session will be in English and this evening session will be in Hindi, but it doesn't mean that we are going to cover half of this syllabus in English and remaining half in Hindi. No, not at all. Friend, it means that we are going to cover the entire portion of civil engineering in English language as well as in Hindi language. Means we are going to cover the entire syllabus in morning slot as well as in evening slot. It will run like that. And now come to the JE batch. In JE batch, we are only using Hindi language as the mode of communication because we feel that most of the JE batches are very much common in the northern portion or the central portion of the India, in where Hindi language is quite common. So in JE batches, we are going to cover 3 subjects: geotech, building material and surveying. Geotech here will be taken by me, building material will be taken by Chetan sir, and surveying engineer will be taken by Abhishek sir. Okay friends, we are bringing all these things, all this content for you for absolutely free, and we are really putting our heart and soul so that we can boost your preparation and also we can make your preparation simpler. Friends, if you really liking our session, if you are really liking our content, then please don't forget to like, share and subscribe our exclusive civil engineering channel. Clear? Now see friend, apart from this entire content, if you are in a need of some additional question bank and exclusive test series and you can say daily notes, then you can also go for our subscription. Our Unacademy subscription you can purchase and you can always use the code ASH10. ASH10, it is my referral code, no spaces here, it is ASH10. This first 4 letter is the first 4 letter word of my name, and this 1010 is the numeric value. And please don't think if you are going to place here 100 you will get 100% discount. Obviously not, because the maximum amount of discount which is Unacademy giving is 10% only. So I am helping you in availing the maximum discount. So you can always use the code ASH10. So friends, now if you are having any further doubts, then you can place it in the comment box. We will definitely answer you. And now come to me. Friends, I am civil engineer. I have done my civil engineering from Jamia College 2007-11 batch, and then I did my masters from IIT Delhi and batch is 11 and 13. I got AIR 226 in 2011 and after my masters I did work for a MNC which is WS Atkins, and I worked in India as well as abroad. I was working there as a geotechnical engineer, design engineer, and my specialization is also in geotech engineering. Clear? So friends, now without wasting further time, what I am doing here, I am starting the subject RCC. RCC, it is reinforced concrete cement. It is reinforced concrete cement. If I am seeing this word in detail, if I am zooming this, then what I am getting these two distinct things, which is reinforced, or we can say reinforcement, and second is concrete. So RCC is basically reinforcement plus concrete. So it is consisting of these two things. Friend, the first thing is reinforcement, which actually means is to give support. If you are seeing searching the meaning of reinforcement in dictionary, then you will get the meaning of reinforcement as to give support. And to whom it is giving support? It is giving support to concrete. It is actually giving support to concrete. Why concrete is needing support? Means concrete may be weak in some of the segments. That's why it is needed support. And to support this in the form of reinforcement, we are going to use the material steel. Steel is widely used as reinforcement to concrete. And what is the reason behind it? Can you think of it? I hope most of you know the answer, but still those who do not know this answer, for them I am telling that the coefficient of thermal expansion between steel and concrete is very much similar. And if I am talking about this in detail, then this coefficient is roughly 1.2 into 10 to the power minus 5 per degree centigrade, and its coefficient of thermal expansion is something like that, very much similar. So why we need similar coefficient of thermal expansion? We need to understand this concept. Friends, let's say I am casting a building at 20 degrees centigrade, or say I am just designing a beam at 20 degrees centigrade. So my beam is having concrete as well as steel. So let's don't think what should be the position of steel, that is our later topics, but this is steel bars and remaining thing is concrete. And when I casted this beam, at that time temperature was 20 degrees centigrade. So now summer has arrived, summer has come. So due to summer, now this temperature increases to 40 degree. So friends, what will happen? Suppose if this material would not have been steel, whose coefficient of thermal expansion is very much similar to concrete, suppose it is brass, gold, aluminium, something like that, and let's say it is material A and it is concrete, and the coefficient of thermal expansion of material A is higher than that of concrete, then what is going to happen? At 40 degrees centigrade, this material is going to expand more if its coefficient of thermal expansion is more than that of this, and this concrete is going to expand less, or you can say concrete is going to expand less in comparison to that of material A. So friends, what is going to happen? Now apply your common sense and you will feel the answer, you will look the answer. You will find if such would have been the scenario, in that case the bond between steel and this material A and concrete will break, and if this bond breaks between these two material, then this reinforcement by support A will not be counted, because it is actually the bond action between the reinforcement and concrete which is actually transferring the forces from the reinforcement to the concrete. So that's why we need a material which is having a quite significant equally thermal expansion as that of concrete. So friend, this is all about why we use steel as the reinforcement. So next thing which we learn now is reinforcement in RCC means steel. Reinforcement in RCC means steel. Friends, we do have RCC buildings as well as we have steel buildings as well. Some of you might be thinking that if concrete is such a weak material that it is needing support from steel, then why can't we construct the entire structure of steel? We do construct the entire structure of steel. That's why we are going to study our DSS, design of steel structures. And next question is, if steel is that much of strong, then why we are studying RCC? Why we are studying our reinforced concrete structure? We are studying RCC due to the economy point of view. Friends, RCC structures are economical because concrete is, this RCC is very much cheaper material as compared to steel. If you are going to construct the equivalent section of steel only, then economic wise it will be higher. Area wise, cross section wise it might be lower, but economy wise it will be higher. And on the other side, if not only economy point of view but from safety, fire, corrosion point of view as well, RCC structures are preferred over steel structures. So both of these types of structures, steel structures and RCC structures, are having their advantages and disadvantages. Okay, so now we know steel is used as a reinforcement. Concrete, what is concrete? Concrete is again not a single material. Like steel, we know, yeah, steel is a single material, but concrete is not a single material. Steel you manufacture in your industry. Okay, so whatever these sections are coming off steel, they look like exactly same, they look like homogeneous, but same is not the case with concrete, because concrete is made up of your cement, fine aggregate and coarse aggregate. One more material is here. One more material is here which is hidden. But you all know without that material this composition would not have been possible, and that is none other than water. We all see this concrete formation from our childhood and we can feel the importance of water. Friends, cement, fine aggregate, coarse aggregate and their composition with water is a different topic, different phenomena which we are going to cover in our building material construction chapter in subject. Okay, so that we will deal separately. Okay, but what we have to understand here, we have to understand the various design properties of steel and concrete which we are going to use in our analysis as well as design segment. So we will deal with only those properties of steel and concrete which are going to use in our design segments or in our design sections. Is it clear? Okay, so now let us start the properties, but before that I want to tell you what is the syllabus which we are going to cover here for our technical sessions, for our various competitive sessions. So let me describe you the syllabus, relevant books and question banks, etc. Okay, so now come to syllabus. Friends, if you want to see the syllabus of RCC, then it is very easy. Just see your surrounding building. Whatever components of building you are able to see, that is the part of this syllabus. And even if those components which you are not able to see, that is also the part of your syllabus. Yes, you are listening it right. Like beam, column, slabs, all these things are visible to you. So it is the part of our syllabus. And the one thing which is not looking, which you cannot watch, which is foundation, that is also a part of the syllabus. So beam, slab, column and let's say footing. So it is this syllabus. But before beam, column, slab, footing, we need to understand the various design properties of steel and concrete, means reinforcement, and the supported material means concrete. So before that we will study our introduction and properties to steel and concrete, and steel. Beam is okay, slab, column, footing, and apart from this, one more very important topic is here, which is your pre-stressed concrete, okay. So friend, one more topic is here, staircases, but that topic is nowadays absolute, so it is not very much asked in the different competitive exams. So I am going to cover those topics which are the current part of the syllabus of the various exams. So friend, this is the core RCC, and to study this we need to know the introduction as well as the properties of concrete and steel. And once we are done with these topics, after that we are going to start our pre-stressed concrete, and it is the independent portion. And from examination point of view, from technical exam point of view, this topic is having the very high weightage. It can also be taught independently, means if you are not aware of the basic concept of these topics, then still you can target this. But it's my advice that go in a sequence. We will study this in this sequence. And friends, this is not only the syllabus, it is the broader view of this syllabus. Properties of steel and concrete, beam, slab, column, footings, and pre-stressed concrete. But though friends, these things we have to study by various design approaches. We do have 3 design approaches in RCC. So we will also study those design approaches, and after this properties of concrete and steel, that design approaches are LSM, WSM, and ULS. Limit state method, working stress method, and ultimate load method. The oldest method is working stress method. After that, ultimate load method, and the hybrid form of working stress and ultimate load method is limit state method, which is the most common method nowadays. So now the entire pattern of exam has been shifted from WSM pattern to LSM pattern, means working stress to limit state method. So we will give our more focus on limit state design. So we will study these things, especially the design of beam, slab, column, footing by limit state method. And in first these two topics, means beams and slab, we have to deal several areas like flexure or bending, shear, bond, torsion. Let me be more specific here. Then I want to inform you that beam chapter is the one which is going to carry all of these 4 segments, means this chapter is the longest chapter and very important chapter, especially from GATE point of view. But yes, ESC and other JEE exams do concentrate here on these topics as well, slab, column, footing, etc. But from GATE point of view, I will say this beam, flexure and shear, bond, these 3 topics of beam plus pre-stressed concrete plus properties of concrete, these 3-4 topics are very important. So let me mark those topics in star which are favorite to your GATE. Properties of concrete, beam, especially flexure, shear and bond, and your pre-stress concrete. So weightage wise, if you are covering this and this, so high chances are here you will be able to crack question of GATE. Is it clear, friends? Okay. Now next question come to the books that sir, which book is best to study RCC? Friend, if you are following my lectures, then I will say that I am going to give here the good content, so you can use that as a reference. But still I will say, if you are very much into teaching, into literature and all, then I will suggest you the very unique and good book of RCC, which is U. Pillai and D. Menon. U. Pillai and D. Menon means Unikrishnan Pillai and Devdas Menon. But for pre-stress concrete, it is not here. For pre-stress concrete, you can use one more book, which is K. Raju, which is K. Raju. Okay. But once again I am saying, especially don't take this book K. Raju, because whatever I am giving you in pre-stress concrete, that will be more than enough for your GATE and ESC exam. Okay, for your analysis and design questions. Clear? Now next question comes in mind, that why we are studying this subject, why we are studying this subject, what is its weightage? Friends, its weightage is good. So the length of this course is 35 to 40 hours, and in that 35 to 40 hours you will be very easily able to get, I will say, 4 to 5 marks. 4 to 5 marks in GATE, and yes, you can say it is for GATE, and 15 to 16 marks or even sometimes higher in ESC prelims. Friends, please be reminded that here I am not including the building material portion, means the very basic properties of steel and concrete. So in this properties of steel and concrete, I am going to tackle only those properties which is actually needed from design and analysis point of view. So please, while I am calculating this weightage, so I have not considered like question, what is the slump test value of concrete, what is the workability of concrete. So obviously those questions I am not considering in RCC. That is a part of your building material, which will be covered separately in our course, in our channel. Isn't it? So GATE marks are okay, ESC prelims marks are okay, then mains it is almost equally weighted, 25 to 30 marks, and these are the books. So now I think everything is here. So now we will be able to start our subject in a good node, in a good passion. So let's start our subject RCC. So it is all about the introduction. Okay, introduction, I am going to tell you what is PCC. I hope you all know PCC is what? PCC is plain concrete cement. You remember when I bifurcated RCC into concrete and reinforcement, then the concrete thing is replaced by PCC, or it is also known as PCC, means plain concrete cement. Or you can say a concrete without the steel reinforcement is also known as PCC. It is generally used in the mass construction, like in the dam or in the flooring. So I can say this PCC is the combination of cement, coarse aggregate and fine aggregate. Yes, obviously with water. But what is the loophole of this PCC? PCC is very much weak in tension. As I explained earlier or told earlier, that the tensile taking ability of normal concrete is almost 1/10 of the compression taking ability. So this PCC is having the very much tensile value, limiting value. So next is to overcome this issue, to overcome this issue, we go with RCC. So RCC is made up of, you can say, cement, coarse aggregate, fine aggregate, yes, obviously with water, and next reinforcement in the form of steel stirrups. So by inserting or by embedding these steel stirrups or steel, normally steel bars, in your normal concrete, your concrete becomes good or strong in tension other than compression. It becomes strong in tension. Actually, concrete is not becoming strong in tension, but steel is providing strength in the tensile zone. So we generally keep our steel in the tension region. So to overcome the limitations of PCC, we are going RCC, means we are simply mixing our normal conventional PCC with steel. So by doing this, we are enhancing the strength of the concrete. And who is actually enhancing the strength? Steel. In which zone? Tension zone. Now the thing is, why tension is becoming or occurring in the concrete? Why tension is there in the concrete? So friends, tension in concrete may be generated due to the various reasons. Tension may be developed due to the direct tension. Means if suppose this is my bar and if I am pulling it, then a direct tension is being developed here. Tension can also be developed due to the indirect mean. Due to the indirect mean. What are the indirect mean? Indirect mean is like your indirect stresses, your bending stresses. Suppose if you are applying load here and due to this load, this beam is going to bend. So what is happening in that bending? Above the neutral axis, above the neutral axis, you will experience compressive stresses, and below the neutral axis, you will feel the tensile stresses. Okay, let me explain you here. Let me explain you here. Just see here. Just see here. See. Direct action, you know, all know, this is the bar and you are pulling it like this. So due to this, direct tension is there. Suppose it was P. So it was also occurring P. Due to the action of external P. Second is, I was talking about indirect actions. Suppose if this is your beam, let's say a simply supported beam, and you have placed a load W over it. So due to this, what is happening? You can see the deflected pattern of this will be like this. And due to this deflected pattern, you can observe above this reference, above this axis, fibers are compressed, and below this reference, fibers are elongated. And in this elongated zone, you need steel. This entire segment is in elongation, so you need steel. Is it clear? So you need steel for direct action, for indirect action, or the other forms of indirect action, which is shear. So shear is also your indirect action, and due to shear also a diagonal tensile stresses will develop. I will take those things in detail in shear chapter. Or your tension can be developed due to the shrinkage, due to the creep. So there can be many factors due to which tension can be developed in your concrete members, and that tension is to be saved with the help of reinforcement, with the help of steel. Is it clear, friends? Okay. So now see what are the minimum grades required in RCC and PCC. Friends, this is very important table, and many times questions in your ESC prelims is been asked from this table. Under normal condition, RCC grade used is M20 and PCC grade used is M10. But under the extreme condition, or when your this structure is exposed to seawater, in that condition RCC minimum grade is to be used M30 and PCC grade minimum to be used is M20. Is it clear, friends? And yes, here the M stands for mix. Here M stands for mix design, and this is the compressive strength. This is this 30, 20, this is the compressive strength, which I am going to discuss very soon. What is compressive strength or characteristic compressive strength? This I am going to discuss very soon, don't worry. And depending upon this grade, I can say IS code has divided your concrete into 3 zones, into 3 categories. And yes, very important thing I have missed. Apart from that book which I have told you, you guys also have to keep IS 456 2000 with you. IS 456 2000 with you. A free copy you can avail from internet, or you can download the copy of IS 456 2000, and you should also be very much familiar to this code, because nowadays a lot of questions has been asked from this code directly. Is it clear, friends? Okay, so IS code is also very important. You have to keep that with you, and these all are the grades, minimum grades under the normal condition of RCC and PCC, and under the seawater exposed condition of RCC and PCC. Is it clear, friends? So till now we have seen how steel is actually influencing your concrete, and how it is increasing the tensile strength, and by what factors tensile strength generated in your concrete. And my dear friends, please remind one thing: whenever we are adding any tensile material or steel, whenever we are making or adding steel to the concrete, so due to that the brittleness of the concrete is converting slightly towards the ductilitiness. We all know that concrete is brittle in nature and steel is ductile in nature. So whenever we are adding some composition of ductile material into the concrete system, then overall system is gradually becoming towards the ductility. But yes, the core concrete portion is still under the brittleness. So if somebody asks you what is happening if two identical bars in all respect, but they are different in percentage of steel wise, then which one is more ductile? Then that bar will be more ductile, or that column will be more ductile, which will be having the higher amount of steel in it. So friends, what I want to make sure here or clear to you, that if steel amount increases, then ductility also increases. And yes, now come here. Now, so IS, first is ordinary concrete, second is standard concrete, and third is high strength concrete. Ordinary concrete, if we are talking about, then it is M10 to M20. M10 to M20. Standard concrete is M25 to M55, and it is M60 to M80. So this is the classification which has been given by Indian Standard 456 2000. Is it clear, friends? Okay, so now I am going to take the first important property of concrete, which is characteristic strength or characteristic compressive strength. So let's see it. Compressive strength. It is compressive strength. What is compressive strength? Friend, before starting compressive strength, I want to tell you this is again a very important property for RCC as well as from gate point of view, or I can say it is again one of the favorite area of gate from which the questions are being framed. Friend, compressive strength is that's why important for RCC, because all the other properties like shear strength, tensile strength, ductility, brittleness, impermeability, durability, etc., all these other properties are the function of compressive strength. So compressive strength is basically can be obtained by two types of sample. First is cube sample and second is cylindrical sample. Second is cylindrical sample. What we are doing actually, we are preparing a sample of concrete and we are placing that sample under the UTM machine, universal testing machine, and we are applying a force over it, and we are actually checking that on how much compressive load that sample is going to fail. That load at which sample is going to fail is known as the compressive strength. It is known as the compressive strength. But my dear friend, this compressive strength is not same as your grade. Means if I am talking about M20, then you cannot say that any identical value of a compressive strength will be corresponding to 20. That 20 is something different, that is characteristic. I am going to tell you soon. Okay, so from cube sample or cylindrical sample you can obtain the compressive strength. And how can you obtain the compressive strength? You have to simply keep your soil sample your RCC sample under the universal testing machine, and you have to apply the compressive load. So what is important here to know, what are the dimensions of cube sample? The dimensions of cube samples are 150 mm, 150 mm and 150 mm. All are in mm, or 15 centimeter by 15 centimeter or by 15 centimeters. And another type of sample which is available with us is cylindrical sample. It is cylindrical sample. So which is 150 mm, and this height is, friend, whenever cylindrical sample is prepared in RCC and Geotech, we always try to maintain this ratio 150 by 300, and here it is 150 by 150. It is mm and it is also mm. If somebody asks you that which sample is going to give you overestimated value or which is going to give you the underestimated value, then from common sense you can feel that the compressive strength of this sample will be higher than that of this sample. Why? Because due to this symmetrical arrangement in all the three directions. But due to the non-symmetrical arrangement, means here you can see it is very much similar in this direction and z direction, but here you cannot find this much of symmetry in such section, in such sample. So friends, it has been observed practically that the values of cube samples are around 25% higher than that of cylindrical sample, or we can say the value of cylindrical samples are almost 80% of cube values, cube characteristic strength. Is it clear, friends? So you can say, you can write a note here that compressive strength in case of cube sample is 1.25 times of what? Compressive strength in cylindrical sample, or you can say compressive strength of cylindrical sample is 80% of compressive strength of cube sample. Is it clear, friends? So please remember these relation, again it is important. So now let me start the characteristic value, characteristic strength. What is characteristic strength? Okay, so characteristic strength is also the compressive strength, but we have to learn here, we have to see here what is actually characteristic compressive strength. Okay. Characteristic compressive strength, characteristic compressive strength. Okay, it is denoted by FCK. It is denoted by FCK. Friends, first of all, I want to tell you what is the meaning of word characteristic and why it has been used here. Friends, characteristic means whenever in civil engineering you find the word characteristic, it means it is actually representing the value which corresponding from certain set of data. From means this value, this compressive strength is not obtained from the single observation. You have performed the multiple observations, and after those multiple observations you are reaching towards a value. So that's why you are using the word characteristic. You will not find this word in case of steel, because steel section is highly homogeneous. If you are performing test on single sample or multiple sample, then I am damn sure that you will get the similar results each and every time. But that is not the case with concrete. If you are doing sample, if you are doing test on first sample, then second, then third, then all the different samples can give you the different value of compressive strength. So whenever such uncertainties happens, then we have to fix these uncertainties by choosing the thing characteristic. So what is characteristic? Actually, IS code has taken the 95 percentile value while they are computing characteristic. So characteristic compressive strength or characteristic strength simply is that value of strength below which not more than 5% of the test results are expected to fall. Suppose friends, if you are targeting, let's say M20, suppose if you are targeting M20 on laboratory, then in actually how you will get M20. So let me explain you in a better way. Just see here, suppose I have 100 of samples, and those 100 of samples are giving you on testing, random testing, you are getting the value, let's say 18, 14, 19, 25, 24, 21, 19.5, and let's say 20, 20, 22, and let's say all the remaining values are greater than 20. I am not writing all the 100 values obviously, but I am assuming that all the remaining values are greater than 20, greater than or equal than 20. So friends, just see here, if I am arranging this strength, compressive strength, in increasing order or decreasing order, okay, let me arrange it in increasing order, then what I am getting, at first position it is 18, then not 18, sorry, 14, and 18, sorry, 19, then 19.5, then 20, or 20 is 2 times, so let's say one more let's say it is 19.9. Let's say it is 19.9. So it will be 19.9, 20, 21, 22, and all other values are greater than 20. I don't know, 21, 22. All the other values are greater than 20 or equal to 20. So friends, if you are counting this 100 values, then you are getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it is your 5% of the data, and here it is 95% of the data. So it is covering 5%, and here 95%. So if such are the results of a certain sample, then you can name that sample that sample is M20, and here this 20 is actually representing this value. Which is value? This value, below which how many values are here? 5 value. Or you can say, if you are perform test on 100 sample, out of those 100 sample, only there are 5 samples which are failing here, and remaining 95% time the value of the compressive strength is coming either 20 or greater than 20. So friends, that's why we define characteristic strength like that. It is the value of strength below which not more than 5% of the test results are expected to fall. 5% can possible, but more than 5% is not possible. So from here definition comes of characteristic compressive strength. And once again I am reminding you why we are using the word characteristic. Characteristic word here we are using because concrete is highly irregular in nature. If you are making first sample, second, third, fourth, then all of those samples can show you the different value of the compressive strength or tensile strength, shear strength, or etc. Is it clear, friends? Okay, so that's why we are using the word characteristic. We are never going to use the word characteristic in case of, you can say, your steel. Okay, is it clear? So friend, now see, if I want to plot the graph of this characteristic curve, then how actually it look like? Let me show you. So till now we have understood that it is the that value of strength below which not more than 5% of the test results are expected to fall. Now see here, suppose on y-axis I am talking about frequency, and on x-axis I am writing compressive strength. Friend, one thing is sure, if you are targeting, let's say, M30, then out of 100 samples only 5 samples will be having value lower to 30. Remaining 95 times, what is happening? Value is either 30 or higher than 30. But friend, if you are seeing the 5% sample values on the left hand side, on the lower end, then its variation may be like if it is 29, 28, 24, 21, it is like that. And if you are seeing the highest side, upper side of 30, then that 30 may go even if 40 or to 42, because what is happening, concrete is non-homogeneous. Whenever you are mixing the sample, suppose, and in first sample you keep the water ratio in very good manner, and let's say the orientations of the aggregate, fine aggregate and coarse aggregate, were very fine. So due to the intactness of those all material, that sample can give you a very good amount of compressive strength. But same on the other side, if you are making any other sample, suppose you are working on your laboratory and your teacher asked to you to prepare a sample, and you are preparing sample, and in a meanwhile you are going and roaming here and there. Sometimes you can go to canteen or some other hostel. So what can happen there? So sometimes you can put some more amount of water because your mind is somewhere here. So sometimes you cannot able to mix the aggregates properly. So due to that, your quality of the sample prepared can be less. But yes, you involve the same amount of concrete, steel and fine aggregate, coarse aggregate and cement, isn't it? So what is happening? You prepared two different people prepared two samples of same designation, of same fine, coarse and cement ratio, but what is happening? One sample is doing extraordinary well and other sample is doing extraordinary low. So what is happening? So there can be huge variation. So such variation can be studied by making the frequency and compressive strength graph. And my dear friends, if you are targeting M30, then please remember 30 is not the average value. So for M30 the average value may be something like you can say 35 or 34 like that. I am not telling you the exact value. I will tell you that how you can calculate the mean strength on the basis of characteristic strength. But let me show you this by making some graphs. So it will be like this. This curve you study in your mathematics, in surveying engineer when you study the theory of error, and here as well I am teaching you this. And this curve is known as normal distribution curve. Normal distribution curve. On y-axis I am representing the frequency, and on x-axis I am telling you the compressive strength. And friends, what is happening here? Suppose if I am targeting M30, or let's say the example which I have taken just now, suppose if I am targeting M20, then the sixth value was 20, and below this 5 values were there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's say 14, 18, 19, something like that, and this value is 20. So this 14 value may be due to that guy who has gone to canteen and something like that. And what is happening towards the right? So towards the right, if I am going, what is happening here? You are getting 20.1, 20.2, 20.3, 21, 22, 23, 24, and let's say 24 is having the highest frequency, or around 24 the highest frequency exists. So such value will be known as the average value or the mean value, where frequency is maximum. Such value is known as the average value or the mean value. So I will designate this peak by Fm. Fm is mean strength, and this 20 was FCK. FCK is characteristic strength. And friends, just apply your common sense and see, whatever is happening on left hand limb, same might be happening on the right hand limb. Same might be happening on the right hand limb. If by chance some samples can have a very low value, then by chance some sample can have a very high value, isn't it? Sometimes Sehwag get out at 0, sometimes Sehwag performs triple century. So same is here. Sometimes the value may be very low, sometimes the value may be very high, but average will be maintained, and average of Sehwag will be maintained of 40 or 50, whatever it is. So friend, it is, let's say 20 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and let's say the 95th value, maybe I am denoting it by F95. It is F95, it is FCK or F5, it is FM or F50, isn't it? Friend, you can see between this and this, including these two values, including F95 and 20, 90% chances are here that if you are selecting a sample, then the value will lie between this FCK and F95. So due to this very high probability, these two limits are also known as confidence limit. So what is confidence limit? Confidence limit is F5 or FCK to F95. Is it clear? It is FCK or F5% to F95. These 2 points, these two limits are known as confidence limit. Let me write here. These are known as confidence limit. And if you want to know the value of FM, and FCK is known to you, then you can travel this distance. By using this. That FM is equal to FCK plus 1.64 sigma, or 1.64, or in some books it is written 1.65, whatever, 1.64 or 1.65, whatever you want to write, you can write. And FCK is how much? It is FM minus 1.64 sigma. So means I want to say that this distance is known to you. How much is distance? 1.64 sigma. What is sigma? Sigma is known as the standard deviation. It is the root of the variance. It is the standard deviation. You know standard deviation? How much the value is deviated from the mean. So average of those is known as the standard deviation, and in our case we can find standard deviation as the under root of summation of f, or in general let me write in terms of mathematics, x minus xi square upon n minus 1 upon n minus 1. In our civil engineering we will use always n minus 1, but in mathematics where number of samples are more, so there you can even use n in place of n minus 1. That is known as some Gauss correction. So we are not going into that much of detail of mathematics. So for us, for RCC, we are going to use this. If number of samples are more, then we have to use this thing, isn't it? So this sigma is standard deviation, and by default values of sigma are also given. For M15 or M20 or M25, these values are also given as per the Indian Standard Code. But if it is not given, then we can obtain this value by using this formula. And my dear friend, one question of GATE, I think 1 or 2 years back, has been asked on this formula only. So I was not able to understand whether that was the part of RCC or your mathematics. Is it clear, friends? So GATE usually do all such activities. Sometimes they mix probability in your RCC. Sometimes they mix your statics into your RCC. So GATE generally do this. Such questions you will not be able to find in your JEE paper or in your ESC paper, but GATE will play with your concepts. They play with your that how much you are good in the intermixing of the concepts. Is it clear, friends? Okay, so where were we? At FCK. FCK is FM minus 1.64 sigma, and similarly if I want to write F95, then F95 is again FM plus 1.64 sigma. It is FM plus 1.64 sigma. So you can say your confidence limit is FM minus 1.64 sigma to FM plus 1.64 sigma. So these two limits are, again I am writing confidence limit. Is it clear? These are known as your confidence limit. Okay. So now what is FM? I have told you FM is average value where your frequency is highest. You can see na, that by if you are getting the very high value, if you are getting the very high value, let's say 28 or 30 or 32 like that, that will also happen by mistake. If you are getting very low value, then that is also occurring by mistake. So for a average normal human being, this is the most probabilistic value, average value. But from safety point of view, Indian standard has considered this value as the characteristic value, as the design value, and even we are going to apply further factor of safeties on these values. Is it clear? So if somebody asks you what is characteristic strength, then I think I have already defined it, that it is the that value of strength below which not more than 5% of the test results are expected to fall. If somebody asks you what is the FM, what is the average strength, what is the average mean strength, so you will say it is the mean strength, or it is that value of strength below which not more than 50% of the test results are expected to fall. Is it clear, my friend? And how can we find sigma? Sigma is standard deviation. You can always use this formula to calculate your standard deviations. And when you have to calculate sigma, if sigma value is not given to you, okay. And what about FM is completed? F95 is just the mirror image of this value on the higher side, and it is your peak. It is your peak, so I am calling it FM. Is it? So IS code could have taken any values at characteristic value. So these 5 percentile value or 95 percentile passing value has been selected on their experienced value or on their experienced basis. So that's why they have chosen like that. Is it clear, friends? So we have studied characteristic compressive strength and its various characteristics, and what is confidence limit, frequency, compressive strength and all. And one more thing I want to remind you that this curve is known as normal distribution curve. Is it clear? So now, friends, we'll move to our next property. Is it clear? Okay, just now we have completed the characteristic strength or characteristic compressive strength, and now we'll start our tensile strength of concrete. But friends, before starting tensile strength, I want to tell you the units of compressive strength, which we have completed just now. So but the by default units of compressive strength which we are using in which we are using is MPa, 10 raised to the power 6 Pascal, means 10 raised to the power 6 Newton per meter square, or you can say 1 Newton per 10 to the power 6 mm square. So friends, in RCC, by default unit of stress for steel and concrete will be MPa or 1 Newton per mm square, means Newton per mm square. So whatever we have studied, like in M20, that 20 thing was in Newton per mm square or in MPa, isn't it? Okay, so now let's start our next property, which is tensile strength of concrete, which is tensile strength of concrete. Friends, this tensile strength in concrete can be generated or can we have due to two things. One is direct tension, another is due to indirect tension, means bending, compression and tension on the same phase. So friends, if it is occurring due to bending, then such tensile strength is denoted by FCR. FCR represents tensile strength in bending, and if this strength is occurring due to the direct tension, then it will be known as FCT. So concrete in direct tension, isn't it? So one is FCR and another is FCT. Okay. FCR, for calculating FCR, we are having the empirical approach, and as per Indian Standard 456-2000, FCR is 0.7 times of under root FCK. FCR is 0.7 under root FCK, and my dear friend, this is FCK, your characteristic compressive strength or characteristic strength. okay, and its unit is Newton per mm square or MPa, and this formula is the empirical formula, and don't try to get the dimensional homogeneity in the empirical formulas. So your input will be in MPa or in Newton per mm square, and in this empirical formula the output will also be in MPa or in Newton per mm square. For example, if somebody asks you what is the tensile strength in flexor for M25, so what will you say? You will simply say, sir, FCR, you know this M25 is characteristic compressive strength, so FCR is 0.7 under root of 25, and under root of 25 is 5, so 5 into 0.7, 3.5 Newton per mm square or MPa. So friend, this is the empirical approach, okay, but it has been suggested by our Indian Standard Code, so we have to adopt this, okay. And if we are seeing here the direct tensile strength, then how can we get the direct tensile strength? So direct tensile strength is calculated from the cylindrical specimen test, from the split cylinder test. What we are doing in this test, we are applying a load on a cylindrical sample which is placed diagonally like this. Suppose like it is a base, and I am keeping this cylindrical sample like this. It is the diameter and it is the length, and same sample 150 mm diameter and lengthwise it is 300 mm. So by default size of the cylindrical specimen remain this 150 by 300. Okay. So what I am doing here, I am applying a compressive force P here. Its diameter is D and its length is L. L is 300 and D is 150. So in order to calculate the tensile strength in tension, what we are doing here, we are applying the load compression on the diametric opposite end, and due to this we will calculate FCT, and this FCT is coming out to be 2p upon pi dl. This you can get from the theory of error concept, and this FCT is equal to 2p upon pi dl. My dear friend, please don't be confused, although it is giving you the tensile strength value, but the input load here is compressive, is in compression, so don't confuse. But this is the procedure only to calculate the tensile strength in direct tension. Is it clear, friends? So FCT means tensile strength in direct tension is given by 2p upon pi dl. Once again I am repeating, D is 150 mm and L is 300 mm. And it has been also seen practically that this value is on the higher side and this value is on the lower side, or we can say like that direct tension value are lesser to this, or we can say this value is 66% of this value. Sorry, this value is 66% of this value. Means if it is 3.5, then 2/3 of 3.5 is giving you the FCT. This is the thumb rule to find the direct tension value if the strength in flexor is given to you. So tensile strength is approximately 66.67% of flexor strength. Is it clear? Friend, can you think that why this bending strength is on the higher side and tensile strength is on the lower side? Do you have a logic behind it? Why it is happening? Why the direct tension is more crucial than the indirect tension? See what is happening here. Just see here, it is a very good concept. Suppose if I am pulling a bar with same force P. So due to this P force, what is happening? All the cross section will get equally stressed. And yes, here I am going to ignore the effect of stress concentration and all. I am not going to take care of that. But due to the primary reason, if I am stretching it, then entire cross section is going to stretch due to load P. and the stress generated at the cross section will be P over A. And when you are drawing the stress diagram of any cross section here, then what you will get, suppose if this is your section XX, so what you will get, just see here, so it is tensile same magnitude everywhere. Let's say it is, let's say FCT, or let's say it is sigma CT, it is direct tension. Okay, now come here in bending. What is happening in bending? So whenever this material or bar is applied to a moment, this moment is the consequence of the transverse force. So due to this, what is happening here, it will bend. so deflected pattern will be like this, and now if you are going to make its cross section, then what is happening? So this is your cross section and this is your compression and this is your tension. So guys, you can see here all the fibers are equally stressed. So whenever the maximum value will be here, then the limiting value will be here, which is going to break this structure, fail this structure. At that time, each and every layer throughout the cross section is going to fail. So here, therefore, the margin of safety is kept more here. But what is happening on this side? Even if the extreme nodes get fails, still internal fibers will be able to take some more amount of stresses due to the moment redistribution and all. So that's why what is happening here. So this extreme fiber, if get fails, then interior fibers, what is happening, they are going to take the additional stresses. So due to that, survival can be there, but no survival can be there if one layer is failing, then simultaneously all are failing. But same is not true here. So only if extreme are failing, then still we have some margin of safety. So therefore this value is on the higher side and this value is on the lower side. So I can say this value are towards the more stringent criteria, and whereas these values are slightly on the overestimated side. Is it clear, friends? Okay, so we'll cover our next properties in tomorrow's lecture. So I hope you like my session. And what about your remaining schedule? So in evening session you can also enjoy our Hindi classes of environmental engineering and surveying. So timings I already shown you in the very beginning. So timing slots are 6 to 9. Okay, thank you very much. Stay safe.